ever had such a bad day, bad week, or bad month that you just did not know how you were going to get through, how you were going to survive? Well, this is a story about my very bad, awful, disgraceful, type of. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Hello, how's everyone doing on this beautiful day? Hello lovelies. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about, well actually I'm going to tell the story about, it wasn't just a day, it was like a week of just having the hardest time of my life. It seemed like, I think this was probably the hardest time of my life this time. Well, one of them. Oh guys, and if you're wondering about these earrings, I got these from Boohoo. I would probably not wear these out, yeah, because they're kind of heavy and they're sitting on my shoulders. But yeah, I got these from Boohoo, y'all, and they also come in silver. But the time when I was ordering these, then the silver was sold out. Okay, so y'all know that I suffer from gastroparesis, and let me see. In 2014 is when I start having, and I think I've said this in a couple of my videos, I start having like more severe symptoms. In 2007 is when I first, really was like, something is just not right. But I was able to continue on with life, and it was kind of like a hit and miss. I even seen a gastroenterologist, and he wanted me to do a colonoscopy. So yeah, it was like a hit and miss. Like I would have some bad times, and then, it would be fine for like 8 or 9 months. And I just thought that that was the norm. So in 2014, and I said this in a video, is when it really came forth. Okay, so the story I'm telling you guys about is before your joke came into my life. Is before all of this. Okay. I was at probably my low. I was having a really bad flare-up. I'm talking about probably the second bad flare-up I've had. And this flare-up had been going on, well, it was progressing and getting a lot worse over the year of 2000, over the months. I don't want to say that over the year, over the months. I'll just say over the spring months is when it started to get kind of bad. I went to the hospital because I was having very, very strong stomach pains. And mind you, this is before your jail, and this is before I was diagnosed. I was having very strong stomach pains. Yeah, and I was nauseous like crazy. And the pain was just getting unbearable, and my chest was hurting so bad, and I was getting really, really weak because I wasn't able to drink. I wasn't able to eat. And also, y'all, go ahead and grab you something to drink or eat, because this might be a lengthy video. But anyways, okay, and y'all know I skip all over the place. So I went to the hospital, I got out. They pumped me with a lot of potassium. They got my blood pressure back regular because it was quite low. And they gave me just a lot of medication to hopefully try to coat my stomach so I can at least take in some type of food, whether it's like mashed potatoes or baby food or something, because at this time I was just drinking Ensure and water. So I was let out the hospital maybe the next morning. So I had to go get my medicine because at this time I had ran through all of my medication. So there was a Walgreens probably about 8 minutes from my house. So, and that's the Walgreens where the doctor called in all the prescriptions. So I go to the Walgreens, It took me probably 20 minutes just to get in my car. I stayed on the second floor to get downstairs out of my apartment into my car. That's how weak and sick I was. So and then at this time, I really didn't know who I could call to help, because I lived in a city on this side of the city that I lived on by myself. And the city that I lived in, and I still do live in, I don't have any family here. So I had my best friend was here, and my other good friend was here, but they lived way on the other side of town. Like, my best friend lived almost 2 hours from me, and my other friend lived about an hour and a half. I had no one that I knew of that lived in my area. So I go get my medicine. I go to Walgreens. Luckily, y'all know that you can go through a drive-through. Come out from getting my medication, and clearly I seen the sign that says no left turns. I was so sick, and I was so ready to get back in my bed and get a heating pad on my stomach. I made that left, because if I would have made a right, I would have had to like come out, go all the way around, come back up, and then, you know, get back on the street that I lived on, because there was like no side street to get to the other main street that I lived on. So I made that left. As soon as I made that left, the cops, they pulled me over. I pulled into looked like a vacant parking lot, and it was a female cop. She gets out and she says, "License and registration, please." So I give her my license, registration. She asked me, was everything okay? Because at this time, I'm driving like this. I'm literally driving like this, y'all. I'm linked up, kind of leaned back, and I'm driving because my ESSA reflex is so bad that I can't sit straight up also. So I'm kind of just leaning on the door and just barely driving. So immediately she asked me after that, "Are you okay? Do you need the paramedics?" And I told her what the situation was. And I gave her the paper, because, you know, when you go to the emergency room, or even when you check out at a hospital, they give you like tons and tons of paper. And on that paper is always stapled your prescription. So I had that paper with me. So I showed her, and she says, "Okay, I'm going to hurry up and get you out of here. I'm going to get you out of here, okay? You sure you don't need the paramedics?" I said, "No, ma'am, I just got out the hospital." So she goes back. She says, "Everything checked out, but it's showing here that you have no car insurance." And I'm like, "But you have my car insurance in your hand." "Yeah, but it's showing that you don't have any car insurance. So because it's showing that you don't have any car insurance, I'm going to have to impound your car." And I'm like, "So, ma'am, what am I supposed to do? I mean, you clearly see how sick I am." So she says, "Just stay there in the car with the air conditioner on until the tow truck come, and then I'm going to take you home, because I can't have you sitting out here, you know, sick as you are, waiting on a ride or Uber or whatever." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Thank you so much." So the tow truck people come. I'm sick, and you guys, guess what? In the midst of this, I am like, "Oh no. Oh no, I think it's going to come from the front and the back, the front and the back, front and the back." So yes, I had an episode. Right then and there, she says, "You got this," to the tow truck man, because, you know, he was contracted with the city. She said, "Yeah." She said, "I got to get her home. I got to get her home. Okay?" You know, and leave. So he was like, the police officer was like, "I'm going to get you all the information. Let me get your telephone number. I'm going to hurry up and get you home." She gets me home. She was so sweet, and she said, "I would have let you go, but, you know, in the state of Georgia, the laws are different, and usually when it comes to no car insurance, there's nothing I can do about it." And I said, "Understand." She said, "I'm looking clearly at the paper," but she said, "You really need to contact your insurance company, because they were supposed to let the city know, the state know, that you do have valid insurance." So she said, "I don't know. We have so many people that we pull over and have fake insurance card." So I said, "No problem." And she said, I believe you, ma'am. But I got to follow my supervisor's orders. I got to do my job." I said, that's fine. So she gets me home, and she says, "Good luck. I hope you feel better." Okay, so my neighbors are out with their kids and they're looking at me like, is she an informant? Like, why is the police dropping her off? So I'm already got my neighbors looking at me crazy. So I go upstairs. I'm so glad. And mind you, it took me about 20 minutes to get back into my apartment. I'm so glad I'm home. Take my medicine. Hopefully this nauseation will calm down. I can calm down. Let me just sit up in my bed with my heating pad and I just begin to pray, and pray. Okay, so the next day I'm like, how in the world am I going to get my car? Because this happened on a Sunday. How am I going to get my car? Because I don't have transportation to get there. And I know if I call Uber or Lyft or, go on the app, that they're not going to pick me up because of the fact that I'm barely walking. I feel like I can barely breathe. I'm nauseous. They're not going to pick me up. They don't typically pick people up and take people places that really can't do for themselves. Like you can be, handicapped, but you got to be able to, get in a car and maneuver yourself or whatever without their help or whatever. So I knew that they were going to turn me down, because it would have took me 50 minutes probably to get in and out of that car. And it would have been expensive because I needed to go to 2 places. I was able to get my insurance company to contact the city and print out all the stuff that the city needed them to print out. So I had to actually, because they wouldn't let me do it on my phone, show them on my phone, I had to go to like a Kinko's, get that printed out. And it had like a little seal on it. Go to the city building, show them that, and then go pick up my car and pay for my car. Mind you, by the time I got to get to my car, it was like $300 to get my car out. But let me rewind it, y'all. I'm still wondering, who can I call? I didn't want to call my best friend, plus I knew she was at work. So I'm like, okay, let me call my work mama. I call her my work mama. So I called her. I'm thinking, she lives like probably 35 minutes from me, maybe a little farther. But she is the only person I know that lived the closest to me, if she still lived over there. Okay, when I called her, guess what, y'all? She did not live in that area anymore. She had moved clear across to the other side of town. So I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I have to get my car out. The longer it stays, the more I have to pay to get it out. So you know what she says? She said, oh my goodness, do you still live in such and such apartment complex? I said, yes. She said, oh, do you know my sister stay over there now? And I said, really? Oh my goodness, what are the odds of that? So she called her sister. Her sister came and picked me up. I paid her sister to take me to the state building. But y'all, guess what? I can't even get out the car, because I know I was going to have to do a lot of walking, a lot of standing. And because I had to go to the city building, I couldn't do it. I wasn't going to be able to do it. So she went in, of course, because she's not me. They told her no. So she was so sweet. She asked the police officer to come outside to verify that it is me. A police officer came outside with her. Police officer said, what's wrong with you, girl? Like that. And I'm like, I'm just not feeling good. I'm like really, really sick. And I just can't walk. And I made sure I carried my doctor's papers with me. I'm just not getting out the hospital. So he was like, that's fine, that's fine. Let me see your ID. He said, get better. I hope you get better. And I was like, thank you. So then she takes me to get my car out. This lady at the counter is just not nice at all. She is just not nice. She was sounding worse than me, sounding like Marge from The Simpsons. I sound like the sisters. She was sounding like Marge. Marge's sisters that smoke them cigarettes all the time and they talk like this. That's me, and she was sounding like Marge Simpson. Anyway, so she was not nice. She was like, you can't drive through there. You can't drive to get your car. Yo, your jail is a mess. He don't want to get on camera, but he want to act a mess in the background. But anyways, So I'm like, really? And y'all, this tow truck yard was like miles and miles long. It was like some football fields long. I'm like, how in the world do you expect me to walk through here and find my car? I said, do you know where my car is? I don't know where your car is. I'm like, okay, so a male walks up, and I'm guessing it probably was the owner or the supervisor, and I'm like, sir, please, I got doctor's notes in my hand or whatever. He said, go ahead. You fine, go ahead. So I'm like, she looking at me like, I'm looking at her like, it's nothing personal, baby. I just don't feel good. I can't do all that walking. So we go get my car. I open the door of my car, and it has been completely ramshacked. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to make a fuss. So I get in my car, and my friend's sister follows me home. She said, you know, make sure I was okay. I ended up going upstairs, and everything was okay. But y'all, I still had to get up and go to work the next day. I didn't apply for disability around this time because I was still working, and I knew that I was going to get denied. So, yeah, it was just a awful situation. Has any of y'all, especially if you have a chronic illness, had a situation and you are at your all-time high flare-up, but there's nothing you can do about it because, you know, the world doesn't stop for us. Unfortunately, in this days and times that we live in, people just don't care. Nobody cares, you know. Nobody cares. So I still had to go to work the next day. I was really pissed off because of the $300, but you know, I didn't take it personal because I knew she had to do her job. And although I paid off everything and I showed them proof of insurance, I still had to go to court. But I was able to hire it wasn't really a lawyer, it was like a legal Zoom or something like that, where they printed up some paperwork and they talked to I'm guessing it was a lawyer. I'm not quite sure. I never ever met the lawyer. I just called the 1-800 number. And they talked to the city building because my court date was like a month or two later. And at that time, my gastroparesis was at an all-time high, and I ended up getting hospitalized for almost 3 weeks. So, I contact this number. They made me pay just a small fee. It was probably a little bit more than what I paid to get my nails and toes done, to be honest. And they just contact the city building, like I said, and they were able to, you know, send paperwork in that she's in a hospital. You know, doctors are saying no court. After she get out the hospital, she's more than likely going to probably go to a rehab or go home, you know, and be bedridden. So this is what this legal team was telling them. So they pushed my court date back all the way for about a year. So this all happened in April, I believe, and my court date wasn't till the following year. I think it was in February of the following year. So it was almost a whole year that they pushed back. And even the legal team that I contacted, they told us, if that's not long enough and you happen to have another flare-up, hey, give us a call and we'll see what we can do. So that was great. But because I live in a city where I really don't have any family, I don't have any family, I had to learn how to cope and deal with my gastroparesis, even at all-time flare-up, on my own. And because I lived on my own, and sometimes I would have to take off of work, I just learned how to save. I learned how to live like a what do they call a minimizer or whatever. I just learned, no, I didn't get out of my apartment and move in my car. I could not do that with gastroparesis. That would not work. But I did, I just learned how to cut back and save. So if I have a flare-up, I'll have money saved up where I can continue to, you know, pay my bills and go on with life. And also, you know, I have my dad, my father and my father's mother, my granny, were like such help, such wonderful help. And I also have my best friend. She was awesome. And y'all, if you don't know who my best friend is, go to my video where I'm talking about when I got my hair cut in a blunt bob. My best friend is in that video. She's got a really short clip in there. But at the time, you know, my granny, my dad did not live in the same state as me, and my best friend didn't even live in the same city. She lived in a whole nother city way on the outskirts of Atlanta, but she was there for me when I needed her. And even with the situation with my car, she was, why you didn't call me, girl? You know, I would have, you know, that's how she was. But I didn't want to bother her, and plus she lived so far. But after that, I ended up having to move closer. I wanted to move closer to everybody I knew. Even my boss was like, girl, you could have called me. You know, all my coworkers were so nice. It was like, girl, you could have called me. What is you on? What is you know what I'm saying? And all of them lived on the other side of town, which was close to my job anyway. So I ended up moving a lot closer, and that was the best decision I ever made, because I ended up having the worst flare-up of my life, and I was bedridden. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even walk to the toilet. And they were good at help. They were able, you know, my coworkers and my two best friends, you know, they came over every day. My best friend went and got money orders to pay my rent, you know, all of that. So that's how I was able to maintain living by myself, because I had to give up my apartment. I didn't want to. It was nice and the rent was cheap. But I no longer worked on that side. I worked for a company, and I no longer worked in that area of the company anymore. They actually moved me about an hour away, and that was the only reason why I stayed on that side of town, to be closer to my job. But like I said, when the company that I worked for got bought out, everything kind of moved to a different side of town, so I ended up moving over there anyway. That was the best decision. Plus, I liked my apartment better, and I was closer to my friends and my best friend. My best friend lived probably, I don't know, probably 20 minutes from me when I moved, maybe 25. So anyways, yeah, it was just awful, y'all. It was awful. It was awful. But I just thought I would share one of my experiences. Yeah, because I've seen videos like this a couple of times, but they wasn't talking about any chronic illnesses. They were just talking about how I had the worst day of my life. But my channel is also not just about beauty and hair and nails and stuff. It also is about healing. Matter of fact, that's the first word to my channel name. So I want to talk a little bit more about a chronic illness, because chronic illness is not just gastroparesis. It affects so many people. You think that these people are just living their best life, living a normal life, but when they go home, they have to deal with a chronic illness. It's so many chronic illnesses out there. And unfortunately, because the generation before us messed up disability, and this was told to me by, you know, law offices and stuff that tried to fight my case. It is almost impossible in these days and times to get disability. You know, I'm talking about, what else do a sister got to prove to y'all? You see pictures of feeding tubes, you see pictures of all kind of stuff. Well, I mean, you got printouts from doctors telling you these things, and I was denied 3 times, even with a lawyer. So I still had to maintain life, y'all, and luckily I had a good support system. So, you know, that's how I was able to maintain life. But anyways, y'all, I don't want to make this longer than what it is, because we're looking at 25 minutes. You guys go ahead and rate, comment, and subscribe. And mwah.